being said, I got 3 Fs.
We're back.
What?
What?
We're back.
More Travis
No,
Hunter.
we
Good
good.
morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Friday, December 17, 2021. This is Wake Up with RayGque, brought to you by Bets TV. I am rocking the FTN shirt because we got to talk about the pick tracker over there at FTN Daily because your boy GQ was smoking hot last night on those prize picks plays from the Chargers Kansas City Chiefs game last night. I told y'all to go over there. I will put the picks in. We're going to help win the people some money. And Jay, did we not accomplish that last night? Are you there? You're muted.
Oh my god. My Slack was opening up and my buddy was texting me and my computer was being super slow. It's been a very busy
Answer
week,
the
but
question.
like you
Get
said,
to
though,
it.
The pick tracker, cash money.
Cash
Although,
money.
when you see the timestamps, I'm like, oh, GQ put his picks in a little bit late. So if
I
you're
mean, I was trying to do the happy hour. I was doing the happy hour show with Brooke Cromer from FTN, and then we built a prop. We built a flex play online on live together on the stream. And then while I was on the stream, I told everybody, I was like, hey, hurry up, go there. I'll have everything in before the game kicked off. And it was in. It was in well before. You still had a good 20-minute window to put those picks in. But we had a good night last night. It was a good game. It's so funny, man, watching people talk about the games. The first 5 minutes of the game, 10 minutes of the game when there's no scoring, everybody's complaining about how terrible it is and this is a bad game. And then by the end of the game, it's what a game. The pendulum swings of fan emotions, especially those of us in fantasy sports or betting, like it's just crazy. Sit back, relax, enjoy the damn game, people. I mean, it's literally the first 2 quarters, this game stinks, it's terrible, it's under-delivering, and then by the end of the game, all you see is, wow, what a game, awesome performance, and it was dope. There were a lot of players that delivered for us from the betting perspective. If you took the over on just about everybody on the Kansas City Chiefs outside of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you were good money. And on the Chargers side of the ball, a couple of players did what they needed to do, but overall, a little underwhelming. I think a lot of people are going to look to some of the throws that Herbert made. For me, it's a lot of missed opportunities, right? Being down there at the goal line, Jared Cook dropping a pass. Prayers up, Donald Parham, a terrifying injury that in all my years playing football and watching the game, and probably y'all, some of the scariest things that I've seen happen, last night with Donald Parham. All reports are he's in stable condition. I don't know what that means. I'm not a doctor. I will not speculate on what it was. He hit his head on the turf, and it just did not look good after that. So he had a touchdown pass that he was unable to haul in. Josh Kelly fumbled the ball at the goal line. But even then, if Josh Kelly scores, if Parham scores that touchdown, and if Jared Cook scores, those are still like some people that really, I guess it would help Justin Herbert's passing touchdowns and help his props out. But, for the players that we started, the players that we talk about, the Keenan Allens, the Mike Williams, that still would not have affected those outcomes for us from a betting perspective or a fantasy perspective. But I thought it was a good game. 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Kansas City got it done. We'll dive into that game and some of those picks, kind of review those bets in a second. But the big news right now is just more COVID. Like, just everybody has it, and Jay, I saw a rule. I don't know if this was a new rule. I don't know if this was this has always been standard operating procedure. But now, if you are fully vaccinated, if you test positive, you have like a window, like 24 hours. If you have like double negative tests, you can be cleared to play. I don't know if this is something they just instituted like immediately because of how many players actually have tested positive, or this has already been in the news. But this provides in the rules. But this provides an opportunity for players like a Tyler Lockett, players like Odell Beckham Jr., whomever, I guess, to get double negative test in time to play on Sunday. The Cleveland Browns, they lost the starting quarterback Baker Mayfield. Then it was wheels up. Case Keenum, everyone putting fab bids in on Case Keenum. Then Case Keenum pops up on the waiver on the COVID list. Now it's Nick Mullins' season. So this is just a brutal. We go through all season and we have a couple of sporadic COVID-19 pop-ups, and then all of a sudden, like money season, like fantasy playoffs. This is where our last couple of weeks to bet on the regular season for all the teams, and then half the league has COVID-19, which is difficult. Jay, what are your thoughts on everything with the COVID situations, the NFL rules? I mean, I know a lot of people are calling for the NFL to delay the season a week. That's not going to happen. Or push games back a week. It's not going to happen. Just what are your thoughts on all of this?
It's interesting, man. Like, the biggest thing for me, I think that's the most surprising is that I'm surprised there's not more teams that have COVID, you know? Like, there's some teams that are doing very well with it, and then there's others who aren't. It's interesting to me more so that Washington is one of them, because one of the big points of contention throughout the offseason was that Washington was, I believe, dead last at one point in vaccination rate. And then Ron Rivera had to really get on that team to be like, look, you need to get vaccinated so we can get different exemptions for all these things. And now it turns out that like 21 players currently have COVID. They're underdogs by 9.5 points because they don't know who's going to be playing in this game. So I'm just curious to see what happens of all this, because even for me, like where I live, and I'm curious, you know, for you, it's different because you don't have any restrictions, never really have. So I'm sure you don't really necessarily know what's going on. But like for us in Toronto, every day we see it getting worse and worse. Like people are supposed to be going back to school. Now they're not. People are supposed to be going back to work. Now they're not. And cases are slowly rising over time. So to see the same thing happen in the NFL and in the NBA, it's not overly surprising because that's the microcosm that I'm living in as well. So as far as I'm concerned right now, it's only going to get worse. And how does the NFL adapt? I think they have to go back to when it was like the heart of COVID, where they don't have a whole lot of fans in the stands and they have very strict testing. That's the only way they're going to get through this without a ton of cases popping up. But I think that new rule is good for vaccinated players.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's the whole point of being vaccinated, getting the booster shot, to increase, you know, the chances that you could stay on the field, because you're less susceptible to catching it or spreading it. I don't know all the inner workings of it, but I'm glad a rule was in place to allow some of these players to potentially get back on the field and help us out. But we got to get into last night's game. Chargers, Chiefs, breakfast and bets. Let's roll it. Wake up.
This is Breakfast and Bets.
Prepare a little breakfast.
All right, let's start with the man. We did not take the over, man. We did not take the over, and boy, did Patrick Mahomes deliver. Brooke Cromer, shout out, over 24.5 completions. Patrick Mahomes had that lined up. I think he had like 10 damn completions in the first quarter, but he finishes the game 31 for 47, 410 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was a beautiful interception. It was a tip pass, so it wasn't even like he just, you know, it was just a great play by the defender. Probably one of Patrick Mahomes' best games on, you know, the big stage, primetime Thursday night game versus a division opponent, versus a player who a lot of people are starting to pencil in ahead of the great one. And we talked about it yesterday. Who would you rather have if you were starting a franchise, Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert? And I honestly, Jay, I still think the answer is Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Everyone goes through stretches of inefficiency, of having to figure it out, and Patrick Mahomes is not immune to that. He's still an NFL player, but I think he's still the best quarterback in the NFL, the best young talent. If I'm building my NFL team around an offensive skill, you know, an offensive quarterback, offensive player, if you're not going to go, you need your quarterback. I mean, I get left tackle is important, but I'd rather have my quarterback first, then figure out the left tackle next. It's Patrick Mahomes. Just a spectacular performance from him. His passing yard prop was set at 271.5. Absolutely crushed that. He was magnificent. He was Patrick Mahomes. And this is why when it comes to Kansas City, when it comes to the Chiefs, when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, I do not like betting the under on any Chiefs player. If I don't bet the over, it's just a no bet for me. You know, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, those are, if you don't feel comfortable with the 75.5 receiving yards, the 5.5, the 6.5 receptions, then bet the no bet. Don't bet anything. But I'm not betting the under on Kansas City because you will get eviscerated. And Travis Kelce, I mean, good grief. You know, we've been wondering, where is Travis Kelce? Travis Kelce, come back to us, please. Not only did he hit his prop of 60.5, he doubled it up plus some. I mean, tripled it. He tripled his damn prop.
Yeah, he tripled it.
He tripled it. 191 receiving yards, the game-winning touchdown in overtime, and it was like the Chargers were allergic to tackling. I mean, he's just weaving through. He's looking like Tyreek Hill, weaving through the defenses. No one laying a finger on him at both of the 69-yard reception and then the touchdown in the end zone in overtime, the touchdown run, catch and run in overtime. No one put a finger on him. Like literally just afraid of the Coach 30, afraid of the moment. He's going to have a video of the Chargers. Afraid of the moment. Moment's too big. Pisses down your leg. You know who I'm talking about. Because they didn't want any part of these pass catchers, man. You look at Tyreek Hill, 12 receptions, 148 yards, 1 touchdown for Tyreek Hill. They had 2 players damn near go over 150 yards, both of them over 10 receptions. Nobody else, as it should be, on Kansas City's roster had more than 4 targets. Clyde, he hit his prop. We'll talk about that in a second. 9.5 receiving yards. That was a smash over. He did it. He didn't get a lot of volume. 2 receptions, 18 yards. He hit that. Patrick Mahomes. I remember Rubio. I think it was Rubio who asked me yesterday how I felt about Mahomes. Rushing yard number, I said I wouldn't bet it, but if I were going to bet it, I'd bet the over. 3 carries, 32 yards for Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, man, it was a good night. Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not get it done. I knew it. I was not confident in Clyde going over his rushing yard prop. They just do not. Here's my thing. Hear me out. When he gets the ball, he looks fine. He got the ball 9 times in the game. Clyde carried the ball 9 times. Darrell Williams 5 times. Patrick Mahomes 3 times. They do not commit to the run. They're not going to commit to the run. Like, get it through your minds now. Whether you're looking at this show for betting advice, fantasy, Clyde is not going to carry the ball more than 15 times a game max, and that's if you're lucky. If you're lucky, if Kansas City is up by a bajillion points and they don't pull him for Derek Gore or Darrell Williams, he might get 10 to 11 carries out of the backfield. It's just, I don't like betting on low-volume players, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a low-volume running back. He doesn't work on the goal line. They don't involve him in the passing game, and they do not commit to the run. This is why I just stay away. And last night on the happy hour, FTN's happy hour, FTN bets, I bet the over. We're feeling good, bet the over, and didn't feel confident in it, and that busted. That did not bust. You just don't do it. Speaking of those picks, last night, a nice healthy 11 units last night. The pick that I put in that I felt good about, I think, and we talked about this, Jay, I believe the fantasy points scored is on Prize Picks. This is Prize Picks. Fantasy points scored is low-hanging fruit because Justin Herbert, 20 fantasy points. He smashes that. Austin Eckler, limited. We saw Justin Jackson play a ton, which was what I believed was going to happen. Didn't like the rushing yard prop for him, but I felt really confident that he wasn't going to go over his receiving yard number. He hadn't done that in a while. We nailed the under on that one. Edwards-Helaire over 4.5 receiving yards. We got that with 18. Patrick Mahomes' fantasy line, 19 points. Like, what I'm thinking about this, if the implied total of the game is 52.5, it rose up to 54.5 total points scored in the game. Like, the quarterbacks are going to be a big part of that. Kansas City doesn't commit to the run. They are going to live and die by Patrick Mahomes. So to set his fantasy point total at 19 fantasy points, that's 2 touchdowns and a couple hundred passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. He well exceeded that. And then Travis Kelce. Listen, the defense for the Chargers is not good. Derwin James hampered by hamstring injury. They have no linebackers of consequence, and we saw that with Drew Tranquill diving at shoes all night long. Couldn't keep up with anybody, setting his over fantasy points at 14.5. And we talked about this. All he needed was a touchdown and a couple of receptions to get there, and he smashes that. Austin Eckler under 4.5 receptions. It was tight for a minute. He ended up with 4, and then again feeling good about Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 9.5 receiving yards, 2-pick power play. Plus 200 on those odds. We nailed both of those picks last night. I'll build out some more this Saturday. Probably Sunday. Just to see who's in or out. So probably Sunday around 10. Go to FTNfantasy.com. There's a purple FTN Daily. Click that. At the top, there's a toolbar. Go to Prize Picks. You can look at all my plays. Derek Brown, Kevin Adams, Elliott Chris, Jeff Ratcliffe. Make sure you go over there and check out the pick tracker. See what people are putting in. Prize Picks lines are honestly really favorable in some cases to some of the sports books. So, I was looking at somebody, it was like a 10-point advantage. And then they did a thing where a couple of minutes before the game, they dropped Justin Herbert's passing yard prop down from 279 to 249. So Prize Picks, I think they've got some really favorable lines. Make sure you go to ftnfantasy.com. I'm just helping you navigate there without giving you the big, long list of the URL. And you can check out all the picks and put some stuff in. It's a fun little game to play. I live in Texas, so that's what I got to rock with. But, Jay, what'd you think about the game last night, the game script, our process to these plays, and what do you think moving forward with these two teams? How does this shake out? Because it really sets Kansas City up. Number 1 seed in the AFC is very much attainable for Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, as far as game script, I'm pissed because I nailed it through 3 quarters, and then they decided to put up 29 points in the 4th quarter, which was just great for my under bet. But outside of that, the biggest thing that I take away, right, now the Chiefs are in the driver's seat. The Patriots have to win against Tennessee on Saturday, which is a big factor. Against Indianapolis, Tennessee has to win to keep pace with Kansas City. Kansas City's got a very favorable schedule, so I think they're going to be able to win out. And especially the way they're playing right now, the way Mahomes is playing in the clutch, it was great to see that. Although I'm curious your thoughts on the Chargers, Ray, because I was really impressed. Although Justin Herbert missed some throws, although the execution in the red zone wasn't where it needed to be for them to win the game, and obviously not kicking those field goals, we can look to that, potentially the reason why they lost, however you want to go about it. But Kansas City, they made their own mistakes in the red zone as well with their own turnover. But you look at Justin Herbert, 22 for 38. He, I think, threw to Mike Williams 3 straight times in the red zone. He couldn't convert. Then he got hurt. Then he threw to Parham. Parham got hurt. So I don't really know how much stock I want to put into the Chargers, but the biggest thing for me was their balance. They ran the ball 39 times. They threw the ball 39 times. That's not something we've seen from the Chargers this season. They ran the ball for 192 yards. We may not like Justin Jackson, but he still carried the ball for 86 yards and 6.6 a carry.
He looked good.
So you look from that standpoint, a team that we view as being very pass happy, very shotgun, play action, throw the ball deep. They're able to run the ball and run the ball very effectively, whether it's 3 backs, whether it's 2 backs. I think that split and this ability to run the ball is going to be very, very favorable down the stretch because they may have to go to Kansas City. They may have to go to New England, places where it's going to be very difficult to throw the ball in January and into February. And if they're able to have this level of balance and Justin Herbert's able to be a little bit more accurate, slightly better execution, I'm not trying to say there's a such thing as a good loss, but I think they played very well in this game and had every shot to win it. It was their defense being tired in the 4th quarter that ultimately caused them to lose this game.
Yeah, and I tweeted something out, and all the Chargers fans were up in arms. I'm watching that game, and I understand. Like, the reason, I just feel sometimes it's okay to take the 3, you know? I get wanting to go with it, and everybody's like, it was the right decision, just bad plays. That's what everybody says when it doesn't work on 4th down. Sometimes it's, and I get Brandon Staley is an analytical coach, right? Like, he looks at the probabilities, and it makes sense to go for it on 4th down right here. But they had 3 shots, man. Honestly, they kick 1 field goal, just 1, they win that game. They win that game. And people are like, it's not a guarantee that you make a field goal. Well, no shit. But from at the 3-yard line, it's probably a pretty good chance that an NFL kicker is going to kick that in. I'm just watching it. I'm like, and if you are going to go for it, Josh Kelly, like that's who you're entrusting the goal line 4th down touch to. A pass to Jared Cook, like I get it. Like if they kick a field goal, they win. And now the fallout from this, because of that decision, is now they're not in the driver's seat of the division. They're not in the driver's seat to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. I don't know, man. It's just I thought they had good balance. I just personally wish they would have just kicked the 3 at least once, man. I get going for it, but sometimes just take the points. Take the points. They win that game. They're number 1 in the AFC West, and we talked about the rest of the season schedule. They're right there to win out and potentially push. New England falls to Indianapolis. They lose another game to Buffalo in the rematch. The Chargers are first in the AFC, and they get home field advantage. They get a bye. They get to rest up. Just decisions in the game, man. It wasn't all sweet. You know, we did miss a play, the one that we built on the happy hour. Herbert didn't go over 279.5. Even if we got the Prize Picks juice where they dropped it down to 249, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Clyde over 53.5. That busted. We hit Kelsey's over 5.5 receptions. Keenan Allen, 6 receptions. His over-under was 6.5. And then Patrick Mahomes, the 24.5 completions. That was over. We got that, but we only hit two of the 5, so lost that bet. So overall, really good night. And we got some really good games that we have to get into for tomorrow. Starting, well, it's good for me because I'm a Cowboys fan, baby. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Giants. Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott. Looks like Tony Pollard's on track to play. Dallas is favored by 11 in this one with a over-under of 44.5. Dallas should get it done. That's really what it boils down to, the long and short of it. Dallas should get this done. The defense is playing spectacularly. I do not believe Daniel Jones is going to play. I keep seeing reports about seeing a spine and neck specialist. Not encouraging stuff. That's actually really scary. So we get another dose of Mike Glennon this week. Saquon Barkley is looking like he's shaping up to help us a little bit in the fantasy playoffs. I'm not going to say he's all the way back and he's 100% Saquon Barkley, but he looks a lot better than he did, coming off of that injury a couple of weeks ago. Dallas defense can be run upon. You can exploit them on the ground if you commit to it. But Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, Neville Gallimore, DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, this should be an absolute slaughtering by the Dallas Cowboys, and this is exactly what the offense needs. Dak Prescott needs to go out there and play well. Tyron Smith, I do not believe Tyron Smith is playing. There's going to be an offensive line change, getting Connor McGovern out of the left guard spot, inserting Connor Williams back in there. The left guard spot has been the Achilles heel of Dallas's offensive line for the past couple of years. But Dak needs to play well. Amari Cooper, another week removed from COVID. CeeDee Lamb playing well. Michael Gallup doing his thing. This should be an easy win. I don't want to say easy. It's the NFL. I don't want to jinx it. It should be a victory, and they should perform well in this matchup. From a betting perspective, right now, I would be looking at the pass catchers, and I have not looked at all the lines on PrizePicks yet, but I'd be looking at the pass catchers. I'd be looking at CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee Lamb in particular for his reception total. I'd be interested in where that sits at right now. If I had to guess, because I don't have it pulled up, Jay, maybe you can tell me. I'm thinking CeeDee Lamb probably 5.5, 6.5 receptions. I'd feel comfortable if it's sitting at 5.5, taking the over on that. Amari Cooper, I'd be interested to see where his receiving receptions totals open up at, especially on PrizePicks. But I'm looking at the receivers. This is a get-right game for Dak. They need to get it in shape. They need to get it going on the offensive side of the ball. Don't you agree, Jay?
Yeah, 100%. So I was looking for those lines. There's no receptions lines right now for any of the Dallas Cowboys. But I think your point about Mike Glennon is really valid. So the way I see the Cowboys playing this game out, and the reason why I think they could even potentially cover this 11-point spread, is because one of the biggest factors in that game was Daniel Jones, right? Saquon Barkley got hurt the last time that the Dallas Cowboys played the Giants, and Daniel Jones was the guy who really made that offense go, him and Kadarius Toney. I think now they have a better understanding of what Kadarius Toney can do, and they're not going to let him beat him. They'd probably rather Trayvon Diggs.
I don't know if Tony's playing, man. I don't think Tony's playing.
I know. I don't think he's all the way back anyways, but I think, we know Galladay's not going to beat anybody. He hasn't beat anybody all season. Saquon Barkley's back, but I think that Daniel Jones is the X factor in that offense. And like you're talking about with Saquon, I think they're going to hone in on him. And if Tony is playing, he will be a focus for Dallas as well. And they'll just let it just happen because Micah Parsons isn't going to get beat by Saquon Barkley. I honestly, truthfully do not believe Saquon Barkley can beat Micah Parsons to the edge. If they are neck and neck, I think he runs him down. And at that point, what are the Giants going to do with Mike Glennon?
He's just as fast as him, man. He ran a 4.41. He's just as fast as damn Saquon Barkley, man. And he's not injured. So I think I hear all that you're saying. Ultimately, Dallas should get this victory. And right now, there aren't a lot of reception props pulled up right now. There's a lot of stuff that's not on here. You go to fantasy points scored, not a lot up there. You see a bunch for the receiving yards, but I just think this is a byproduct of odds makers not really knowing what's going to happen this weekend. So my advice, sometimes you get an early line and it's favorable for you, and then by the time kickoff, it's, you can get it a little bit at a better price. I'm going to wait until Sunday morning. For me, I'm going to wait until Sunday morning because I don't think we're out of the woods yet with people popping up on the COVID list and it screws up your build. But this is a game where I think offensively, with Tony Pollard still not 100%, with Ezekiel Elliott still not 100%, we are going to see a Dak game. And right now, I do see CeeDee Lamb at 68.5 yards, Amari Cooper at 47.5 yards.
How is he so low at 47 and a
Yeah,
half? Like, that's
47
like
and a
seeing
half.
Kelsey at 60 yards.
Yeah, 47.5 yards for Cooper and Dak at 269 passing yards. So just off of the receiving yards, if I do anything, first just look without diving into everything, Amari Cooper at 47.5 seems good. Yeah, they've got nothing for Kadarius Toney. I don't think he's playing, man. He was like limping around at practice, so I don't believe Tony's going to play.
Yeah.
But 47.5 for Amari Cooper, and I don't see anything. CeeDee Lamb, half a receiving touchdown. So is he going to score? I think there's a good opportunity for CeeDee Lamb to get in the end zone, and that's why for me in this game I want to do something with CeeDee Lamb, and I think the play is fantasy points scored on Prize Picks. So once they have a line for CD, I will put that in, load that into the pick tracker, and then you can tail those picks if you so choose to do so. Tampa Bay versus New Orleans, NFC South showdown. For some reason, the Saints always play the Bucs tough. I know this is not the Saints are not full power, no quarterback of consequence. Well, I guess you got Taysom Hill running the ball. Taysom Hill running the ball well. But Tampa Bay humming on offense. I mean, absolute dynamic. Tom Brady making his MVP push this season. What'd you say? You don't think so?
Do you think humming?
I think so.
So my pushback is they were humming in the first half, but in the second half, they did not play very well last week. And so can they afford to, only play one good half against this Saints defense? Like you just said, this is not like this 10.5 number to me is just silly. Like it's way too high because all bets are off in this game. This is the only time I've ever done a cornerback wide receiver showdown matchup. And I did it the last time they played too. It's always shown versus Evans and what's going to happen. Are they going to fight? I don't know. But last time they played in Tampa Bay, the Saints beat them. So I don't think there's a scenario where they beat them by 10.5 again. And you look at Brady's games when he plays the Saints, I believe he has 6 touchdowns and like 9 interceptions against the Saints since he joined Tampa Bay. So you look at it from that perspective, like you said, it's going to be tough. Cam Jordan's going to be on his ass. Marcus Davenport's going to be on his ass. I don't know what's going to happen in this game, but if you're giving me 10.5 points, even with Taysom Hill, Kamara all the way healthy, Tom Brady not playing well historically against the Saints, regardless of the location, I'm all in on the Saints this week. I think that Sean Payton's going to have a great game plan. I think he's played Brady well, very, very well, I think 4 times now. So I don't know, man. I just think this 10.5 number is way too many points to give the Saints. I'm surprised that bettors aren't hammering this number down a little bit more. That's more than a touchdown and a field goal. So to me, I think I'm all in on the Saints to cover. We'll see what happens, though. I think Taysom can do just enough. Kamara can do just enough to get it done.
Well, that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara running the old Paul Johnson, Georgia Tech triple option and getting it done, because I don't think they're gonna be able to throw the ball, even though Tampa Bay is exploitable through the air. I don't think Taysom Hill is gonna be able to. He's not. And the last time we saw Taysom Hill trying to air it out, it did not end well for New Orleans. They just need to ground and pound with Taysom Hill, with Alvin Kamara, and I don't know if they can do that enough to beat Tampa Bay. I agree with you. 10.5 seems a little high. Where's the game at? Is it in Tampa or New Orleans?
Yeah, this is the one in Tampa.
This is in Tampa. A little bit of home field.
And to be fair, Tampa plays very well at home.
I was gonna say,
but again, they still lost to the Saints last year.
With me, I never bet. I very rarely, if I bet the spread, I always tease. That's just my thing. I always tease. So if you're saying 10.5 is too high, probably. I'm looking at the receiving props right now. Chris Godwin, 69.5. Mike Evans, 57.5. And Rob Gronkowski, 54.5. They also have Leonard Fournette at 29.5 receiving yards. They said 2 back-to-back did not participate for Leonard Fournette. Not good. I guess we just have to watch that, right? We have to watch that, see if Lenny Fournette is going to play in this matchup. Do they hold him out? Right now, rushing yards, they got Leonard Fournette at 51.5 rushing yards. Alvin Kamara at 48.5 rushing yards. Taysom Hill at 40.5. I'm telling you right now, and I know Tampa Bay's defense is brutal. I'm taking Taysom Hill 40.5. If that's the starting quarterback, we just saw Josh Allen go nuts, and he's a little more strategic of a runner. Taysom Hill is just kamikaze style, doesn't care. He's going to run the ball. Yeah, I'm actually looking at this right now. He's hit this number in his last 2 games, 73 yards versus the Jets, 101 yards versus the Cowboys. Yeah. I like the over on Taysom Hill right now. I think that would be a solid play. I get the Tampa Bay defense is tough. It's outdoors, good weather. Taysom Hill rushing the ball. That's what they're going to have to do to try to win this game. And regardless of where New Orleans sits in the standings, it's a divisional matchup. Sean Payton wants to beat Tom Brady. I like Taysom Hill over 40.5 rushing yards right now. The receiving line, I would probably be leaning towards Chris Godwin. It is going to be Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans, and it's what's going to happen. They are going to get a personal foul call at some point. They're going to be fighting. Lattimore is going to be shadowing Mike Evans because that's just what they do. Chris Godwin plays more in the slot. Lattimore plays your traditional outside cornerback position. I like Godwin, man. I like that line. 68.5 or 69.5, doesn't matter. Godwin has been cash money lately with his receiving props. And if anything, I think, again, the fantasy score, right? They don't have anything up right now to see fantasy score, but I think Chris Godwin is a lock to get 7-8 receptions, 60, 70 yards, potentially score a touchdown. He's hit this receiving yard prop in his last 2 games, 105 versus Buffalo, 143 versus Atlanta. In his last 5 games, he's averaging 78.8 yards. So this is above his last, his 5-game average. So I'm with it with Chris Godwin. Rob Gronkowski, probably to score a touchdown, seems like a good bet. 54.5 yards. Demario Davis, very physical linebacker, not the best coverage linebacker. I just want to wait and see. I'm just taking a wait-and-see approach until Sunday to see who's in, who's out. That may cost me some juice. I may gain a little bit of juice, but I'm going to wait. But I like Chris Godwin, probably going to do something on his fantasy score, and I love Taysom Hill. So far, what I like, CeeDee Lamb, fantasy score over, Taysom Hill, rushing yard over, and Chris Godwin, fantasy points scored over. Even though I haven't seen it, that's probably where I'm going to land at on this matchup, Jay.
Yeah, so the other guy I want to talk to you about is Mike Evans to score a touchdown. It's plus 115 right now on FanDuel. And one of the big splits with Mike Evans that people pointed out is that he scores a ton more touchdowns at home for some reason compared to on the road. And so even though he's against Lattimore, I know that he will get his shots. Last time they played at home, obviously he made that spectacular catch in the back of the end zone. I think he'll get a fade route or 2 in this game, even against Lattimore. And so I'm tempted to take Mike Evans to score a touchdown because he's just been scoring a lot more at home than he has been on the road. But I think you nailed this game. You for weeks now, I've been saying Chris Godwin at some point is going to just take over because someone has to get these slot targets. Gronk has been playing exceptionally well. I definitely would consider going back in the flames with him. We bet him 2 straight weeks. He's hit it. Same with Godwin. Game script, I think, will be very similar. But I believe they're going to put either Janoris Jenkins or I forget the safety now who plays Gronk very, very well in New Orleans. It's not Jabari Greer, is it?
You're talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson?
Well, CJ, I don't think guards him that much.
Okay.
But because he was also hurt too. So CJ does guard Gronk a little bit, but he was hurt at one point, and so I'm not sure if he's all the way back yet. But it's one of those games where all bets are off in this game, and that's why I just think 10.5 is too many points. I think that Taysom's going to have a great game. I like Kamara even a little bit. He can break a big run against this defense.
You like 48.5? Would you take that 48.5? I mean, Kamara. They're giving him the ball a lot, man. I mean,
so the issue for me with the number is that they may have to abandon the run a little bit. Not so much with Taysom. I think Taysom is cash
here's
money.
The thing. Listen,
but Kamara will.
Kamara's hit this in his last 5 games, like last 5. He's averaging 70.
What do you have against Tampa though?
He got it versus Tampa. The last time he played Tampa, he had 61.
Okay.
61.
Okay.
61 versus Tampa, 50 versus Atlanta, 120 versus the Jets, 51 versus Seattle, 71 versus Washington. He's hit and he's getting the ball like 20-something times a game, like running it.
Tons of carries.
I like it, man. I like the ground game in New Orleans. I really, really do. I like the ground game in New Orleans. I think Kamara is as close to matchup proof, especially given the fact that there are no pass catching weapons. Man, I may have to lock this in now just to get it before it bumps up. And this is the Sunday night game. Sunday night game. So primetime Kamara, primetime Taysom. I'm kind of feeling it. All right, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Rams. We know the Rams are down some players for COVID. No Odell Beckham Jr., a couple other players. At least I think they're out. The Seahawks have ruled out Alex Collins. I think they lost somebody else. No Jamal Adams out for the season. This team, Tyler Lockett, supposedly out. We'll see how that unfolds. Jalen Ramsey's back, though. They get Jalen Ramsey back, so Ramsey versus DK a little bit. You know, Ramsey plays that star position, so he's all over the field. This is one where I think the Rams, the fact that they're only favored by 4.5, how?
Okay, let me read you the list right now.
How?
So you got Von Miller, Tremaine Ankrum, Antoine Brooks, Bobby Evans, Jake Gervais, Obo Okoro, Kareem Orr, Troy Reader, and Christian Rosebaum, who are all on the COVID list right now and were placed on the COVID list yesterday. Which is a big chunk of their defense. Yeah, that's like probably 3 or 4 defensive starters for the Rams. So that's concerning in itself. But I'm like you. I saw this number. I was like, what the hell? Like 4.5 points. Seattle again.
I don't care about all
better
of that.
at home,
I don't care about all of that. They got Matt Stafford. They have Cooper Kupp. They have Sony Michel. Andrew Whitworth is there at left tackle. They're getting Darrell Henderson back, I believe. I don't care. Seattle is garbage. They're absolutely bad. They're terrible. They can't stop the pass. They can't stop the run. It's truly Bobby Wagner or bust, and I'm sorry. Bobby Wagner can't cover Cooper Kupp and rush the passer and stop the run. Like, he can't do it all. He cannot do it all on every single play. So for me, 4.5, and I like to tease, so I tease at 6.5 points. You're telling me the Rams just need to not lose by 2? Yeah, I'll take that bet. As far as running numbers, receiving yards, do they have anything out? Cooper Kupp right now, I'm not seeing anything. Nothing. Either side of the ball. I think so. Odds makers are kind of waiting right now, at least on Prize Picks, to see who's in, who's out. Telling you right now, I'm staying until the end of time. I'm staying in Cooper Kupp Flames. I am. Whatever his fantasy point scored total is on Prize Picks, I'm taking the over. I don't care what it is. I honestly don't care. And the reason why I think fantasy points scored are low-hanging fruit is I don't need him to go for 150 yards. I need him to do what he traditionally does, get his 10, 11 receptions. If he gets those receptions, he's probably over 60, 70 yards. If he gets over 60, 70 yards, he's probably going to get a couple of end zone targets. Boom, you've hit your prop right there. I love it. It's like I'm starting to just love betting fantasy points scored because it aligns more with what, we do as fantasy gamers and trying to predict that. So really love that from the Rams side of the ball. Don't know which running back is going to get all the workload. It seems like Sony Michel has sort of earned carries over the past couple of weeks with Henderson being out. DK Metcalf right now, as it currently stands, probably the only receiver of consequence for Russell Wilson. You've got Gerald Everett, and I'm sure there'll be some lines out for him, as well as Rashad Penny running the ball. Rashad Penny had a breakout game last week. He's going to get the full workload, and the Rams do struggle stopping the run from time to time. Aaron Donald will get after the passer. I think he's going to make life a living hell for Russell Wilson running around. Rashad Penny may have a good game, but there's nothing up right now for Rashad Penny. Rushing yards, they don't even have them listed. They have nobody from the Rams listed. So this is a game where we just have to wait and see how it unfolds before we actually can place a bet. Now we've got Washington versus Philadelphia. Washington football team versus Philadelphia. Philly is favored by 9.5 in this matchup. Jalen Hurts is in, maybe out, not really sure. The report is Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts are both splitting first-team reps in practice. Jalen Hurts still dealing with a high ankle sprain. If Hurts has a high ankle sprain, that it's not going to work. What makes him so good is the fact that he's so dynamic with his legs. If he cannot operate at 100% capacity running the football, it's not going to work. And right now, PrizePicks has his passing line at 174 yards. I don't like it. If he's not helped, what I would like in that situation is for them to say he's not 100% and he's still going to play. I would take the under the passing yards, even though Washington is lost, and I'm not even joking, their like entire defense. Like damn near everybody on the Washington football team's defensive side of the ball, they're out. Philly should win this game. Philly should win this game. It should not be close. Again, 9.5 for Philly. The Washington's team is decimated because of COVID. But if Jalen Hurts isn't active, if he's not playing, if he is playing less than 100%, I think there's a real strong possibility that we see Gardner Minshew just magically come in the third quarter, which would be good for Dallas Goedert. Hopefully we get Devonta Smith on track. He's only, I bet his over receiving yard totals for the season at the beginning of the year. I think it was 649.5, so he's already cashed that out for us. It was either 649.5 or 749.5 total receiving yards for Devonta Smith this season. He's like 40 yards away from 750. So hopefully we can get him back on track. Don't know which running back is going to carry the ball. Miles Sanders. Is it going to be Boston Scott? Not really sure. But this matchup right now is a wait and see. Again, wait and see. Is Hurts in or out? I think that will affect some of the bets we place on the pass catchers. If we get Gardner Minshew, I'm loving Dallas Goedert. We saw him feed Dallas Goedert early and often. If Jalen Hurts is healthy and active, we'll see what his rushing yard prop line opens up at. Got to monitor that whole situation because of the COVID situation that we're in right now. Anything else you got, Jay, about this game?
So it's funny you mentioned Devonta Smith because I wanted to hit his receiving yard number 52.5, but he only has four targets in the last two games, not combined, 4 targets in each of the last two games for a combined 37 yards.
Yeah, he's in a slump.
So at that point, like, how the hell am I even considering taking the over? And if I am considering taking anything, I should be taking the under. Yeah. Because whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Gardner Minshew, it hasn't really mattered for Devonta Smith since Jalen Hurts got hurt. I don't know, man. Like, he's just not getting the volume right now. Yeah. And like you talked about, Dallas Goedert smashed with Gardner Minshew, to the moon. So if you're going to take a line on Devonta Smith, I mean, you have to take the under. Because how is he over Amari Cooper on Prize Picks right now when he doesn't get any volume and Amari Cooper's the number one option in Dallas?
Doesn't make sense. We'll just pay attention. We'll see how it goes. This weekend is probably going to be crazy. We got 2 games on Saturday, a slate of games on Sunday. Should be a good weekend of college football. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel. Tap into the Prize Pick tracker on FTN Daily. I'll have all my stuff posted. It'll be close to kickoff, but it's okay. You can do it right from your phone. Use the promo code FTN. Get you a 100% deposit match on your way out. We appreciate you checking in with us. Next week, it's going to be a short week. It's Christmas. We'll probably do a show like Monday, Tuesday, and then we'll take the rest of the week off. So y'all enjoy. Have a safe weekend. Get the last-minute holiday shopping done, and we'll be back. More Wake Up next week. We out. Peace.